cameras did he use? What lenses did he use? We gotta know. Here we go.
Don't worry, I'll tell you. But first, let me preface this with, it doesn't matter. Well, it does a little, but maybe not as much as you think. See, I like film gear as much as the next person, but that didn't make or break this movie. Strait Undercover looks great, but find me a camera in the modern era that isn't good. Seriously, it's harder to find a bad camera than it is to find a good one. Arri, that's the gold standard in Hollywood. Amazing camera, beautiful fall off on highlights and shadows, accurate color, smooth skin tones, it has all of it. Sony, from Venice all the way down to their A7 line, solid cameras. On commercial work, we use the A7s all the time, and we love that camera. Blackmagic, Panasonic, Fuji, Canon, everyone out there makes a great camera. Sure, there's different grades, qualities, recording codecs, cost, and some are clearly superior, but there's a lot of great camera and lens choices out there. So use what you can get your hands on and learn it the best you can. Now, let's talk about our camera and lens choices. For cameras, we went with the Blackmagic and shot B-Raw. We owned a 4.6K, which is this guy right here, long before we started production. We've had a lot of great success getting good images on our commercial projects. But as you can see, this camera's pretty big, pretty heavy, and we wanted to shoot most of the film handheld. We needed to move quickly. We wanted an indie feel, something loose and less formal. Blackmagic introduced the 6K Pocket Pro in early 2021. That's this little guy. The camera has a lot going for it. We like the ability to shoot 6K so we could slightly adjust framing in post. The color and skin tones are really good and they're smooth and mostly easy to correct in post. Strait Undercover is low budget. The production was very, very scrappy. And when it comes to features, our whole film budget was probably less than one shot on a John Wick movie. The 6K Pro, this guy, is inexpensive. It allowed us to use all the great EF lenses we already owned, so there was less rental costs there. It fit the handheld style we were going for, so we ended up buying two. One was fully rigged with a focus pull, video feed, monitor, all the goodies. This was our A cam. And the B cam was stripped down so that it was lighter. I believe this was our B cam. It's just a camera body, lens, plate, and media for recording on top here. We needed that one to be lighter so that it could go on a gimbal, smoother shots like walk and talks, and the robot POV shots. It takes too long to build up and strip down a camera for a gimbal shot, and I didn't want our cameraman Mike worrying about that on set. With a less expensive camera, we could have two of them and have each one built exactly for its purpose, allowing us to move quicker. Our third camera was the G2 4.6 I mentioned earlier, and we often had a second shooter on the side operating that. Now lenses. I love lenses, and there's no one lens that's perfect for every situation. Each lens has its own distinct qualities. Some lenses are workhorses, like the 24-70, this guy here. If you're doing a documentary or running around shooting all day, this is what you want. Some lenses do only a few things really well, like the 100mm. Shoots close-up detail shots beautifully, isolates a subject at a distance, the focus fall off is almost immediate, which looks great, but it's really hard to use in a practical environment. Primarily, we shot with a trio of Zeiss CP3 lenses, it's the cinema lenses. The 35, 50, and 85mm. They're very clean lenses, very little distortion if any. Focus pulling is great on these, and Zeiss are always a reliable option for us. We used a Canon 70-200 on our third camera so that we could position it far out of the way of the A cam and get nice isolated shots. The gimbal was rigged with an 18-35 Sigma Art lens. That's actually on the camera that I'm shooting with right now. Sigma's come a long way in the past 15 years. From what I know, they're a family-owned company and have grown from sort of an off-brand that people didn't pay much attention to into a really respected lens option. And you kind of root for a company like that. Many of their lenses are really great, cost-effective alternatives. The Art line are solid photo lenses, and we've used their cine lenses and their zooms a lot. At the price they list for, they can't be beat. One specialty lens we used was the Laowa 12mm. One issue we dealt with on our camera is the S35 sensor. It's not really an issue per se, but a quality. It crops the lens in a bit, making your lens appear a little longer than it really is. For example, a 24mm looks a little more zoomed with the field of view of, say, a 35mm. In order to get really wide shots, we needed an extra wide lens, and the 12mm from Laowa had been getting a lot of publicity. We tried it, liked it, and went with that. It's a little workhorse, it's built well, it's all metal casing. It has a little bit of distortion, but I mean, it's 12mm, you should expect that. Crafting the look and feel is so much more than just a camera and lens choice. Camera placement, blocking, how things are lit, locations, characters, what's said, what isn't said. It's like the old saying, it's the magician, not the wand. This was our first feature. There's a lot of things I'd love to do differently, to do better, and that's part of growing as an artist. Gear is fun, but don't get caught up on what you don't have. Figure out how to accomplish the most with what you do have and keep going. A lot of the equipment used to make Strait Undercover was exactly that, the gear we already had. If you need to make it, then make it, and don't stop until you do.
Second.